When I was but a wee lad, the only thing I wanted to do was play Mirror's Edge. And then after that, the only thing I wanted to do was watch people play Mirror's Edge. But no, it was the WWE. I loved watching the WWE. When I started watching it was probably around 2011, 2012. Now picture me, this little 8-year-old little boy, I'm scrolling through channels and I see this Lucky Charms looking ass, and the rest is history, really. For the next few years, I watched all the shows, I got the tag team belts, I got the Undertaker Streak DVD, I broke my bed doing frog splashes onto it. I was connected to it. I was so connected that I cried when Brock Lesnar beat Triple H. I cried when The Shield came on TV every week to beat up everyone that I liked. I cried in general. I was a little baby boy. Back then, I knew it wasn't fully real, but I didn't fully grasp what I was watching. I was a bit suspicious when Kane would come down and make fire shoot out of the ring post with some magic powers. When the boogeyman would crawl to the ring eating worms and shit. He can't act like this in his real life, right? It must be a nightmare at Gelson's. Like, when something happened in 2014, 2015, like, I'm in middle school now. My schedule was packed with PvZ Garden Warfare to play, and wait, is there another Mirror's Edge game coming out? So after 7 years of shitting my pants at the bus stop, I was scrolling through my liked videos on YouTube, and I ended up watching the Brock Lesnar return from 2012. And I watched more videos, and then more videos, and then before you knew it, I was watching Extreme Rules that year. But as I kept watching as a young adult, I really came to appreciate pro wrestling for the unique art form that it is. When I was a kid, I fucking hated Brock Lesnar and The Shield. Every week they would just come on TV and terrorize whoever I liked, and they knew exactly how they wanted me to react, and then I did it. But now, as a young adult, I love them. They're some of my favorite things to come out of the WWE for how they made me feel back then. What I kind of want to touch on here is the usage of fake, and you gotta bear with me a little bit. It's kind of hard to talk about this without sounding like a dweeb. You can describe pro wrestling as like a lot of things like theater or predetermined or scripted, and those are all true, but fake doesn't really fit into that. People train for years and years to compete at the level that these big promotions demand, and it doesn't matter how much you train, getting slammed onto wood planks by a 7'3", 403-pound Nigerian giant is gonna hurt. The art form of pro wrestling really comes down to how can I make this look as real as possible without hurting the person that I'm working with. As a child, I perceived it as two dudes just beating the shit out of each other, which I thought was badass. But now, I see this as two performers putting on this amazing show, trying their best to protect themselves and trying their best to protect their opponent while trying to look good for the audience while making hundreds of split-second decisions every minute. It's like I get like a whole different level of enjoyment from it. A lot of people have this perspective of, well, it's predetermined, so why would I get invested in this? And you know, if you work that way, that's fine. It's obviously not for everyone. It's not really so cut and dry though. The match winners are determined ahead of time, but there's so much that goes into that decision. Think about how in a movie, even if the main character dies at the end, that doesn't mean the whole movie didn't happen and it has no meaning. Someone losing has just as much meaning as someone winning. When creative decides a winner for a match, it serves tons of purposes. It can be used to further a storyline. It can set up a feud with a bullshit win. It can be used as a red herring in a feud. There's so many things that a win or a loss can bring to a performer. It's so easy to get swept up in the storylines they make, partly because they're just so simple and the bad guys are made out to be such evil garbage people most of the time. You just want to see him get socked in the face by someone you like. It's very hit or miss though. Some feuds are like, holy shit, he just dropped an entire excavator of concrete onto that guy's grandma. And some are like, oh, you costed him a match and now you want revenge? Really breaking new ground here. What's that? Your opponent broke into your house and talked to your infant in their crib? No kidding. You suck. No, you suck. Some people can watch pro wrestling just for the pure skill involved, but other people need some kind of emotional connection to what's going on. Even if you are satisfied watching amazing athletes go at it, it's always more fun if there are some stakes and extra reasoning for the punches. But storytelling is also prevalent in the ring work. Aside from the body language and facial expressions, obviously, you have these wrestlers that play different characters for a 20+ year career, and they all of a sudden pull out a move they haven't used since 2004 to win a giant match. And that shit shit is so cool. But that's just the in-ring work. There are so many things that go into pro wrestling, like cutting promos and just being charismatic and getting the crowd to be on your side. You can have amazing skills in the ring, and that will appeal to some people, but at the end of the day, if you can't draw a crowd and make the business money, you're not really gonna get anywhere. And that's what's unique about it, is it creates a relationship between you, the character that they're playing, and them as a real person. When you watch a talent win a title and they're celebrating and crying, that's not acting. Not only are you watching Liv Morgan win the women's championship, you're watching Gianna Daddio fulfill a dream she's had for her entire life, and you can see it on her face. Not to mention a huge payday. It makes it so much easier to root for and relate to these people you're watching when you can actually see them go through the motions of such a volatile career. A championship belt in the perspective of the performance is just pretty much a title saying, my character beat someone to get this. But in reality, it's a stamp of the company saying, yes, you are good enough to represent our company for however long we want to keep this on you. That's why even though it's scripted, it feels real. You're watching these people fight through the veil of their characters to prove themselves every week. This whole time I've been pretty much referencing WWE because that's the only wrestling promotion I consistently watch. But everything I'm saying encapsulates the whole thing. But having other promotions reinforce the idea that these are real people with real lives that they have to think about. When someone's contract ends at a certain company, they may have an opportunity at another one. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. But it's a chance to take this reputation that you've built at this place and bring it somewhere else. And it doesn't really matter what character you're playing. The audience sees someone like CM Punk or Jon Moxley join AEW, and they think, wow, Punk and Mox are great performers. I'm excited to see what they can do here. You're never gonna see something as emotional as the CM Punk AEW debut and say, man, I can't wait to see what persona he's gonna play. That's just him. You've watched him grow and change over a dozen years. Even though he's CM Punk, you still see Phil Brooks. But you really don't have to get that deep either. It's fun to see people with cool moves and cool entrances and cool music just beat each other up. It's fun. It's fun to watch people insult each other for a month and then put them in a steel cage and say go. Pro wrestling can be viewed and enjoyed from so many different angles, and I'm obviously just scratching the surface here, but nonetheless, this is an outro now. So thank you for listening to me ramble about this, and thank you for watching.